Ducati is once again being rocked by shocking news after troubling reports emerged regarding Marc Márquez's physical condition. The reigning champion is reportedly facing physical problems again after enduring an extremely demanding period, further throwing Ducati's internal situation into turmoil and raising major concerns ahead of the next race. Is Marquez really dealing with another injury, or is there a much more serious problem that Ducati is keeping hidden? Let's discuss. Amid the Mercedes' still unconvincing performance, Ducati is also facing scrutiny over the direction of its bike development, which is believed to be too heavily focused on Marquez's needs. If that is indeed the case, it could become a major problem for the Borgo Panigale-based team. The results at Silverstone served as a major warning sign for Ducati. A team that has been incredibly strong over the past several seasons was forced to acknowledge Aprilia's pace, while Marquez himself was unable to perform at his usual level. The rider, known for consistently extracting the maximum from his bike instead, had to work extremely hard to maintain his pace throughout the weekend. The problem, however, goes beyond the bike's performance. Marquez's physical condition has once again become a major talking point. The Spanish rider has already gone through a long journey to recover from various injuries. Therefore, when his performance began to decline and discussions about his physical condition resurfaced, major questions immediately began circulating throughout the Ducati paddock. However, it is important to emphasize that, as of now, there is no confirmation that Marquez has suffered another serious injury. The speculation surrounding his physical condition remains just that, speculation and interpretation of the situation following Silverstone. A rider's drop in performance can also be influenced by many factors, ranging from the characteristics of the circuit and tyre conditions to bike setup and physical condition throughout the race weekend. What makes the situation even more interesting is how Ducati determines the development direction of the Mercedes. Marquez is one of the most experienced riders on the grid and possesses an extraordinary ability to provide technical feedback. His riding style is also highly specific. Therefore, using Marquez's needs as one of the main references for bike development is actually a logical strategy. Ducati certainly hopes that a bike suited to Marquez's riding style can deliver maximum performance. When Marquez is able to perform consistently, that strategy can provide the team with a major advantage. But one important question remains. What happens if Marquez is not at his best physically? If the bike's characteristics become too heavily tailored to the needs of a single rider, other riders could face different challenges. Francesco Bagnaia, Fabio Di Giannantonio, and Ducati's other riders all have different riding styles and setup preferences. A bike that feels extremely comfortable for one rider does not necessarily give the same level of confidence to another. This is what makes Ducati's current situation increasingly intriguing. When its leading rider struggles, the entire team needs a bike package that remains competitive. Ducati cannot afford to reach a point where the performance of an entire project becomes too dependent on the condition of a single rider. Bagnaia, for example, has a different riding style from Marquez. The same applies to Di Giannantonio and Ducati's other riders. For that reason, Ducati must find the right balance between building a bike capable of meeting Marquez's needs while also providing a strong foundation for every rider on the team. Otherwise, what initially appears to be an issue involving just one rider could eventually develop into a structural problem within the team. The situation is becoming even more concerning because Aprilia is beginning to show very serious progress. At Silverstone, Aprilia was able to demonstrate impressive speed and put significant pressure on Ducati. They no longer look like a team simply trying to catch up with the Italian manufacturer's dominance. Aprilia's performance is clear evidence that Ducati's rivals are getting closer and closer. If Ducati does not quickly find answers to their performance issues, it is entirely possible that Aprilia could become one of the main forces consistently fighting for race victories. Even so, it is still too early to conclude that Ducati's era of dominance is over. One race weekend is not enough to determine the overall direction of an entire season. Ducati still has enormous technical resources, experience, data, and development capabilities. However, the results at Silverstone have clearly given the team plenty of work to do. Ducati now has to make sure two things happen simultaneously. First, they must help Marquez rediscover his best form. Second, they must ensure that the Desmosedici remains competitive for all Ducati riders. A team as powerful as Ducati cannot become too dependent on a single name. If Marquez is in top condition, Ducati will obviously benefit greatly. However, when Marquez encounters problems, the bike must still be capable of delivering maximum performance to the other riders. This is the major challenge Ducati faces as the competition continues to become increasingly fierce. While Ducati is dealing with questions surrounding Marquez and the direction of its bike development, Honda has taken a major step within its team structure. Alberto Puig has officially ended his role as one of the key figures in Honda's MotoGP project. The decision represents a significant change for the Japanese manufacturer, which has spent the past several seasons working hard to return to the front of the grid. Puig was more than just a figure standing on the pit wall. He had become an important part of Honda's journey during one of the most difficult periods in the manufacturer's history. Honda was once one of the biggest forces in MotoGP. They had bikes capable of winning races and legendary riders such as Marc Márquez, Valentino Rossi, and Casey Stoner. However, over the past few years, the situation has changed dramatically. Honda has struggled to maintain competitiveness as Ducati, Aprilia, KTM, and other manufacturers have continued to develop. Various technical changes have been introduced, but the process of returning to a competitive level has required considerable time. Because of this, Puig's departure has become a symbol of a broader evaluation within Honda's project. The Japanese manufacturer needs a new structure, a clearer development strategy, and someone capable of guiding the project into its next era. The timing of this change is also extremely important because MotoGP is set to enter a new regulatory era in 2027. Engine displacement will be reduced from 1,000 cubic centimetres to 850 cubic centimetres, while various technical aspects of the bikes will also undergo major changes. This new era could provide an opportunity for manufacturers that are able to begin development in the right direction. For Honda, restructuring could be an opportunity to rebuild the project from a stronger foundation. However, changing leadership will not automatically make the bike competitive overnight. Honda will still have to solve numerous technical problems ranging from the engine, chassis, and aerodynamics to electronics and the bike's overall balance. Whoever eventually takes over this important role will face an extremely difficult task. Honda's target is not simply to return to scoring points. They need to build a project capable of fighting for race victories and, in the long term, once again becoming a world championship contender. Ultimately, the biggest question remains, will Marquez's condition truly become a new problem for Ducati? Or can the Red Team bounce back and prove that Silverstone was nothing more than a temporary setback? Let us know what you think in the comments below.